Hello, I'm Benjamin Allen. Today I bring you another video. I am not talking properly. There we go. Today we are going back to the Grey Knights. I did one last week. I think it was on Friday that video came out. So this week I thought I'd jump the gun and go kitbash. Well, I say kitbash Castellan Crowe of the Grey Knights into a primaris scaled marine. Now my goal is, as all my kitbashes are, especially with characters. Starting this kitbash, I of course grabbed Castellan Crowe and the bits I haven't used already in my King Arthur, Captain Master Arthur video. So what we'll start with is removing the feet from their legs. Specifically old Castellan Crowe model's legs. Now the reason I'm doing this is because a lot of people will say, well, Castellan Crowe stands pretty much primary scale as is. He doesn't though. He sits a head shorter. His crown does go up to roughly the neck, like halfway up the neck, like the head of a Mark 10, but he's not primaris scaled really. He's like in between firstborn and primaris, which I don't mind, but let's be honest, it's not as imposing. He just looks like a shrimp. Same for the Grey Knights faction in total at the moment. They all look like shrimps, which personally isn't a great look. What I'm doing here is taking my Dremel with a cylindrical bit and just carving away at the leg. Because my goal is to stick this onto a primaris' leg, because they do match up sorta well enough. They're not great. There is a decent portion of a gap between the feet, like the actual lower half of the armor and then the foot. It's not a seamless line, so I do have to make some work on that. But yeah, Grey Knights have been, I understand, like, oh, they're perfection already, but it's like they're not. Grey Knights are known to fall constantly to chaos, and apparently with the Terminatus decree, I have no clue how the hell they're going to fight a damn custody, let alone because they couldn't even beat the Space Wolves. So I'm just saying. So I'm going to give them the update, update that Games Workshop has decided not to do. Why they have decided not to do it, I don't know. Or if they're working on it and just haven't released anything, I don't know. Like, so we're going with this. What I'm using is a Grey Hunter's legs in a pretty decent running pose to give me that feel, I guess is the best way to go about this. The best, because this just gives me that nice in-between. It's like, gives him a bit more action, more dynamic posing to it. Makes like looks like he's hauling ass through a chaos field or through a corrupted land as you're heading for this target. Which, personally, is a lot better feel than the Castellan Crowe just standing there. Though, I do not have the sort of, Arwin? I think it's Arwin? I probably botched the name. I always forget the name. I'm just going to look it up. Black Blade of Antwarn. Warren? I don't know how to pronounce that. Which is my bad. I do apologize for that. But since I use that blade for my King Arthur kitbash, I have to replace it. Now, anyone that's actually watched that, I would highly recommend checking it out, because it is a pretty cool model. I have the Skull Taker on the base as a replacement for the orc that sits on the base I used. So I have a Skull Taker sword, and personally, I know it's not exactly the right. I know lore-wise people will be like, oh, that doesn't make sense. I understand that. But it's still a demon sword. It is a corrupted blade. If I'm not mistaken, it is a corrupted blade. So I feel I could get away with it for this once. as you can see here, as I'm working on this model, I am making comparisons to keep the actual torso. The torso was the original problem. It was too short, but also the thighs were too short for a primaris scale marine. So doing what I'm doing here is kind of giving me that in between. I'm giving the legs that little bit of extra height using the thighs of the primaris gear, keeping the Grey Knight iconography from the torso, which will barely make him maybe ever so slightly shorter than a primaris, like not like down like where he sat originally, which is just like with his like psycho hood, sit like halfway up. He'll be now head high to a Astartes, but his eye level will probably be like the nose of an Astartes, a Mark 10 at least. So it's significantly better. I'll say that much. And again, you'll notice that I'm making probably a lot of sacrifices just to keep as much as the original model as possible. Because that's the goal. Anyone that knows my kitbashing style for characters, it is to keep as much as the old model as possible. Mainly because I don't want to have to try and sculpt or build that stuff up again. Unless I can find a really good alternative. But also, there is a very distinct silhouette for a character. Like my Bjorn. Because I didn't like the Venerable Dreadnought style. It looked too small. It looked too shrimpy. It is literally the size of a Saturnine. Like, at that point, put the dude in a Saturnine armor. But you don't. You got Bjorn and a damn Venerable Dreadnought. My lore was basically he got an upgrade because his Venerable Dreadnought got destroyed or damaged heavily. For this one, it is literally, I don't know, Crowe got really badly wounded by a Skull Taker, but managed to kill him in the end, so taking his sword. But in doing so, allowed him to get the Rubicon surgery to keep him alive, much like Titus did against the Carnifex. He got pretty much killed, not really, he like really closely killed, and then brought back using the Rubicon. Saved by using the Rubicon. I don't know if anyone can hear that dog, I do apologize. But yeah, I'm sort of doing like what Titus did, but instead of a Carnifex, it was a Skull Taker. I am going to assume the Skull Taker cheated, using bloodletters or like swarming tactics, and hit Castellan from probably behind or like a cheap shot. There is no honor among demons, so makes sense to me. But for whatever reason, Skull Taker has taken Castellan down. I'm assuming they stole his blade. The black blade. Is it the black? It is black blade, isn't it? Yeah, black blade of Antoine. It's like a wyvern. It's like, I don't know. But yeah, stole Castellan's sword, demon, his corrupted sword. And so Castellan took the Skull Taker's sword as sort of like a trade, I guess. Well, you got a worse deal out of it. But yeah. Also, I do apologize for like the models off to the left. I was streaming building most of this model, which I don't do often. I really got to do more streams. But yeah, I didn't stream this much, so my little setup's a bit weird. I do apologize. So that's on me. But yeah. So we got all this, and then Castellan Crowe is now back on the battlefield, more angry, I guess, or more determined, I will say, to slaughter demons. So now he's just going full sprinting across corrupted soil to retrieve his blade, with an anger of 1,000 suns or something like that. I don't know. Actually, that would probably make sense. 1,000 suns taking his sword. But yeah. Also, you'll notice I do clip a little bit off the Castellan's head, so I can mount it on this little stand, I guess. It's literally just a piece of sprue on a base that's glued. I've just glued the head to the end of the base so I can actually paint with it. And what is up with this dog? I do apologize. Usually it's quite peaceful at this hour, but it's not. But yeah, a lot of this stuff, and I'm going to use green stuff to fill in the gaps and sort of streamline everything. Anything that I can't sculpt properly, I'm just going to slap a purity seal over. And that should, hopefully, sort out most of my problems. Hopefully. And this is the part where I like really got into streaming, because I was originally going to use my sculpting tools, which is where the leather thing came in. After the side there, but I actually ended up using my knife more than anything. I'd cut strips and then just like sort of work it in. I'll be dead honest, my sculpting method is very... How do we put this? Crude, I guess? I'm not very good at sculpting. I work much better in like smaller sections. Or like slightly fixing things. For this stuff, it was more gap filling than anything. I probably could have used Tamiya, not Tamiya, what's it called? Oh. Probably could have used AK's modeling putty. But I didn't. I just thought green stuff because I had it on my desk. Was it a good move? I don't know yet. You be the judge of that. This process took, I think it was 4 hours it took me to build. Took about 4 hours to sort of get an idea what the hell I was actually going to do. Then cutting and like sanding away things just to make sure it would fit. With a lot of micro adjustments to get things to fit. And even then, I stuffed up here and there. Especially on these leg armor. Because you're trying to make something smaller fit on something slightly bigger. It doesn't always work. And then I was chatting with Stream, so it's like, yeah, it was a bit of a process, I'll say that. It was fun. I wish I could have more people talking in chat, but I will not force it. I'll say that. I'm not going to force it. If you want to watch my streams, I believe we've got a link to it in my bios. In my channel bios, I think. I don't know. Or channel links, I think. I'm pretty sure I got it in my channel links. Do I stream often? No. I stream once in a blue moon, if that. But when I do try my best. I definitely do. I originally streamed gaming, but it's like, kind of killed the channel at that point. Which is my bad, but it is what it is. Here's where I grab a lot of purity seals just to kind of like fill in the areas that I messed up. So like say the left shin pad has really nasty, really big gaps on the leg. So I use 2 purity seals overlapping to hide that. And then I just kind of put purity seals anywhere that sort of didn't fix the problem. What is up with the dog? Hold up, I feel like I'm going to have to go check that out. I'm going to try and get past this kitbashing section really quick, and I'm going to go check out what the hell's going on with this dog. I know it's not part of the video. It makes no sense why I would care, but I'll be dead honest. I've tried 3 times to record this. I don't care anymore. I'm tired. I do care. I just don't have time to record another. That's probably the best way to put it. Because it is true. I don't have time to do another one. I take this purity seal and sort of trim it, cut it, and mold it to fit. And that kind of sorts out most of the kitbash. Only thing good about the old Castellan model, this plastic one, is that its mold lines are so small that you can easily use plastic cement to fix the problems. It is so nice. Alright, dog insulted. Just come back to fix that.
I'm not. I was just talking to chat at this point. Also, remember, I still have one advanced. I have one TIE Advanced X1 kit from my Star Wars Adventures, which I highly recommend going and checking that out. And I also got my hands on one of these Bandai model kits, Poe X-Wing. I want to give that one a go, possibly for my little clone trooper dude. Game color Imperial Blue after a Zenithal of white over black. Nothing too fancy. Literally just hit anywhere that's going to be blue, blue steel, Imperial Blue. Including the armor. Yes, I did use a... What do you call them? Just handy hand, I think it is, or something like that. I don't know. This little dude there with a magnifying glass. I use it for painting here and there. Game color Imperial Blue. Army painter. Matte white. This is to lighten it up just a bit before we go heavy into the army painter. Not army painter, the Citadel Grey Knight Steel. I go over everything, including the helmet with this Grey Knight Steel from the Citadel range. It is quite useful. Also, apologies on the glass being a bit dirty. I haven't cleaned it in a while. I need to get some Windex and just wipe it down. AK acrylic color British khaki. I use this to sort of base out these little like trim bit on this banner. I am going off of box art. That is what I am doing. Just pushing it a little bit further into my way of doing certain things. Also using British khaki on all the metallic colours. Anything that's going to be metallic in the end is going to get British khaki, along with a highlight and then a metallic. Because I found this, I really enjoy doing this like sort of model colour white glaze. I use this on the shoulder pad and anything that's supposed to be white. Also, by the way, why the hell is Castellan Crowe's flames on his banner and his little tilt shield so goddamn hard to paint? I understand that's probably a skill issue, but my god, I had so much trouble painting these little details. When usually anything of the same size I usually have no problem with. I don't know, I probably was just off that day, but like, well. Army painter, desert yellow. I use this to highlight anything of the raised edges or anything that would catch light. And I also use this on the metallics. Well, anything that's going to be gold, I guess, is probably the better terminology. I surprisingly had AK acrylic color black red. I surprisingly had a very hard time painting this model. I don't understand. I didn't figure out why I had such a problem. I think it's just because it's Grey Knights. I don't really do Grey Knights. I mean, I got my Dark Grey Knights, which is my Emperor's Heresy chaos version of the Grey Knights. But even then, I'm usually pretty good at painting just standoff models, but that's on me. AK acrylic color black red game color scarlet blood. I use this as a highlight color for the cape, specifically targeting the areas that get more light to them. So the folds, the creases, bits that like stick out a bit more. I also use it on the purity seals as well as the black red. The banner as well. I use that actually specifically to clean up areas that didn't fit right. Then using game color scarlet blood in a more focused, I guess, way. I use this to sort of highlight everything else for the cape. And the banner. I'm pretty sure I do it on the purity seals as well. We'll find out. This is probably my most favorite cape. Army Painter Desert Yellow. I will say that this has probably been my best cape I've painted so far. It's simple, but it looks nice. And it wasn't surprisingly too hard to do. The model and whole was a problem, but certain areas were alright. The cape, the banner was a problem. But yeah, the cape, the armor, and the face, surprisingly. As someone who doesn't really like painting faces, the face was pretty easy. Army Painter Matte Black. I use this for his bolter. Well, his wrist-mounted storm bolter. But yeah, certain areas of his models was a lot easier to paint than most things usually are. And there were certain areas of this model that I was just despising painting. I don't know. I don't know if anyone else gets that kind of feel when they paint this model. Or Castellan Crowe in general. If so, let me know. Army Painter Black Red. In wash form to sort of fix up my mistakes with the white flames of Castellan Crowe's banner. I do come back in later with white and fix up the areas that got stained slightly. As you can see here. I don't think I should mention this part. I used the same color as I did earlier. But yeah, this is such an, tricky part to paint. Army Painter Desert Yellow, Game Color Glorious Gold. I use this as the metallics to go over all the gold parts. Including Castellan's head. Is it Castellan? I'm pretty sure it's Castellan. Yeah, it is. It's, I don't know. I will say this, I am tired. And this model has taken 4 days in total to paint up. Army Painter Fur Brown. The reason I'm doing an arm that's exposed, I'm just going to say he's got damage, armor got damaged or something. I don't know. I don't really have a real reason why I did it that way. I just did it that way. But yeah, surprisingly this face was not too bad. Army Painter Barbarian Flesh and Army Painter Fur Brown I used for this to highlight this sort of mid-tone. The base of the head. I don't know. As someone who doesn't paint heads very often and doesn't really enjoy the process very much, Castellan Crowe's head was really nice to paint. I don't know if that's a sculpt thing or if it's just me, I don't know. Army Painter Flesh Wash. I use this to, well, wash the face. Highlight, exaggerate certain details and hide others. Army Painter Citadel Base Dryad Bark. I use this for the purity seals, the books on his armor. His leathers. And the skull that sits off to the side of the base. That one that just randomly sits by itself off to the side, embedded slightly. And a few other areas, nothing too crazy. The banner. AK acrylic color black red. I use this on a sword again. It is just a Skull Taker sword. I'm using this as a lore piece because sure it doesn't make sense to many, but once you realize that I don't actually have a secondary sword to the black sword of Antwar, or however you pronounce it, because I used it for my chapter master again. It makes sense to me. I know it's going to piss off some people. I get that. Army Painter Matte Black. I use this for these hair. I use it as sort of a contrast consistency, so I can still get some of that detail poked through from his hair, and not have to dry brush his head. AK acrylic color. British khaki. I use this for his sword, I believe it is. It's pretty sure it's a sword on his forehead. You can see my ring light in his forehead, in his hair. That's pretty funny. Model color, white glaze. Watered down heavily and then dropped very carefully into the eyes. Are they perfect? No. Do they work? Yes. I do follow them up with flesh wash to sort of try and put them back into where they belong, but it worked out well enough. Army painter, desert yellow. Or is this as a highlight for his sword on his forehead? Why he's got a sword on the forehead, I have no idea. I'm sure there's a little reason. I can't remember it personally. Army painter, barbarian flesh as a highlight. And I just go over the model again. Try my best to just hit the raised edges. But again, this model was so nice. This face was so nice to paint. Even though it's not one of my best faces, it was just nice to paint and looked pretty good, in my opinion. Army painter, desert yellow, game color, glorious gold. I use this for the metallic touch at the end. And that really finishes Castellan Crowe's head. Army painter, flesh wash. I am very careful to do this, but I do this on anywhere that's sort of like blank canvas. To add a subtle shading back in and sort of promote the highlights. Though it does look somewhat like a goddamn Titan from Attack on Titan. That was the funniest thing ever when people started mentioning who was it? I think it was a female's head. AK acrylic color, black red. When I did my Eldari Road traders, people come DM me saying she looked like a Titan because of the way I painted her face. And to be honest, I can't stop thinking about that. That is hilarious to think about. Because she does. Was it on purpose? No. But it was. I can't deny the facts. Game color, scarlet blood. Very carefully touched onto his little head cable. And then spilled all over because I have too much water. I think it was too watery, I think it was. But it does give him a little bit pop of colour. Like his skin, well, I don't know about irritated, but just there. I mean, most people forget, skin is reflective. Is it a great reflector? Not really, but it does reflect. AK acrylic colour, black red, game colour, scarlet blood. I use this on the blade to give like a sort of mid-tone transition. That's it. God, that was a mouthful to try and say. Game killer, scarlet blood. I use this for like a highlight. Because it's not done. There is more to come. Well, come to the blade. Eh. Alright, so do another round of little bits of highlighting here and there, the areas I wasn't exactly happy with. Citadel Base, Dryad Bark, and Balthazar Gould. To start on the Chaos Star. Yeah, Chaos Star. On his base. I thought it was only fitting to use the Blood Taker's base for Castellan Crowe, especially considering their bases are practically the same size. I'm pretty sure there's like only like a couple millimeters difference. Like a millimeter, if that. Citadel base Dryad Bark. Using this, I go over it. Wait, did I go Dryad Bark? I mean, Balthazar Gold. To sort of act as a highlight color. I didn't even read my own damn script. Well, timestamps, but nah. No, I can't remember. I don't know. I'm messed up. Citadel base Retributor armor. Over the edges of the Chaos Star. As a final highlight for that. And then we'll work on the actual base itself. I use the side of my brush to do this, because it just makes it easier to hit the edges. Especially if you have the room to do so. Model color, white glaze. I spill this heavily into the recess of that centerpiece to sort of create like a pit of lava. Where the skulls and everything have turned to like charcoal and stone, I guess. Some chaosy crap, that's what I'm going to say it. Army Painter, matte black. I use this all over the base. Avoiding the center piece. You will notice there is an extra skull that's just like in the middle. No, not in the middle, off to the side there. I also use this on the sword to sort of colour it. Because Castellan's sword banner is black. It works out in the end, trust me. Citadel base Dryad Bark Model Air US Desert Armor. I use this for the parchments, or the beginnings of the parchments, and anything that's going to have, well, anything that's supposed to have words on it. I don't do the words because I didn't do decals for this model. I will do them off camera. It is not going to happen tonight. I am not doing decals tonight. And honestly, I won't do the decals until probably well and truly after this video is done. Add Model Air Ivory to the mix to lighten it up, to make it look to fit better. Fit better? To progress the painter. I don't know. I am tired. It is currently heard a noise. It's currently Jesus. It's currently 12. Add aged and Model Air aged white to increase the values, the brightness of the parchment papers. My God, everything decided to get active at this hour. The house and everything's coming to alive. I do not wish for this. I've tried to record this damn voiceover too many times. Stuff it, we're doing it live. Army Painter Uniform Grey as a dry brush over the model. You see that skull there? I'll paint it off. I'll paint it at the end or off camera. I don't know, something along those lines. Yeah, using the uniform grey again on the model, not the model, the sword on the banner. Model Air aged white again as a sort of dry brushes. I was getting impatient with this model. It was like, it has taken me days to get this model done, and it's just. I probably should have set it down and just waited a few more days, but everyone knows my upload schedule. It's 2 videos a week. Need to get the videos out. This is supposed to come out after the Grey Knight Terminator. Army Painter Flesh Wash to highlight the gold. This model was literally supposed to be the next video after the Grey Knight Terminator. But then I believe I found... Yeah, no, I did find the Star Wars stuff. And then went through that. What? Then went through that tangent. Which didn't do amazing. I mean, a lot of my videos don't do amazing. But it didn't do too great. Game color fluorescent orange. I'm hoping that video gets a bit better in the next few days, but we'll see. Unlikely, because it is a bit of a off-the-topic one. But I did mention that if the 3 videos get... Oh, what did I don't remember what I said I would. But I said that if I get those 3 models to a decent degree, consider the color Scarlet Blood, aka acrylic color, black red. Use this to mix it together as a more Scarlet Blood than dark black red, and then just try to brush that over the top to make it a bit more of a mid-tone red. Then using Army Painter Matte Black and dry brushing this all over everything, making it look like molten or like cooling stones in lava or something along those lines. I don't know what I was doing. I'm delirious. I want to go to bed. Shouldn't be too much more, I don't think. Okay, I got much more. Okay, there we go. This has been a long video. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. If you want to see more videos like this, please consider liking, subscribing, and hitting the notification bell so you never miss another video. I'm gonna go to bed. Jesus. My computer decided to say hello, hi. Yeah. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, hopefully. And we're very close to 500 subscribers. I think I'm like 4 subscribers off, so please consider liking, subscribing to help me get to the 500 subscriber point. So I can finally start, well, not start, but finish off the 2 Destroyer Knights that I promised I'd paint.